Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to talk about just the roles and permission management. So right off the bat here, I am showing you our organization roles. So we actually offer default roles, of course. You can obviously modify them, you can change them, and you can obviously create your own. So under the organization right here, we offer two types. The first one obviously is full access. So again, you might want to, you might have other members of the team that you want to have access to this admin panel, but maybe you don't want them to be able to create users, or maybe you don't want them to have player management. So essentially, you can see that I did click on the accordion here. The very first thing it says is scheme right up here in this tab. And that's what you're really determining. So you're saying, okay, yeah, I do not want them to have access to users, or in this case, I do want them to have access to users. I do want them to have access to the dashboard, and then maybe that's it. And then you go to the user tab here to easily select those users. So as we can see, by the way, Michelle and Shuva basically have access to this role. If I exit out just to kind of show you the search here, if I come in here, I can simply search. So this sort of search is basically pulling your user list, this application here. So every single user you add into your users, again, it's pulling from that list, and you can simply re-add him or her to this role. Simple as that. Once you do that, of course, again, you choose your schema, you add your user, just make sure you hit the update button so it gets saved. Then we have this owner role, by the way. So the way it works, you guys, is every organization has to have at least one person under this owner role. And that's why there's this lock here. You cannot delete this. There has to be somebody, right? There has to be the king or the queen part of this organization. Now, you can invite people to have the exact same owner role as you. Completely fine. Just know that if you do add them to this particular role, they have access to everything, right? There is no restriction, just like yourself. There is no restriction to it. That's kind of where this full access comes in. It's like, well, maybe, you want them to have full access, or maybe you do, but you want to take a couple of things away. In addition, of course, you guys, you can always create a new role, and you can always sort of name it, give it a description. Again, whatever works for you. All right, so that's the organization breakdown, and then we kind of jump into the facility. So as you can see here, right, when I selected that, I have two facilities. And just so you know where this list is coming from, it's coming from the dashboard. So in the dashboard, you guys have access to create your own facilities. Now, again, we call them facilities. I've heard some people call them locations, right? So it just depends how your organization's set up. I mean, maybe you have, screens at a different state. Maybe you have a couple in Minnesota. Maybe you have a couple in Florida. Maybe you have them in different cities, right? Either way, the one thing you just always want to think about when you think about your organization is, first of all, where are your screens, right? If they're in multiple locations, that's one sort of question you want to ask. And then who's managing them? So if you have certain people that are managing the Minnesota location, certain people in the Wisconsin location, then you want to create these as separate facilities. And then you want to add users and roles to that particular facility. Again, if you're like, Michelle, you went too quick on that, no worries at all. Definitely reach back out to us, and we'll go a little bit slower kind of explaining it. So again, this list of facilities is getting generated on the dashboard here. I'm just going to jump right into this O1 test. All right, so just like organizations, we offer two default roles under every single facility. Obviously, content creator, and then the admin. And once again, you guys, you can delete the content creator. You cannot delete the admin. I'll talk about that in a sec. Or you can create your own new role. As a default, a content creator, what they are going to receive as a default is they're going to have access to the dashboard, the media library, and the playlist. I know the UI is not showing this right now only because we're working on it. They are going to have access to those three applications. We see the content creator, exactly what it sounds like. The content creator. Those are the people that are really just adding the assets to the screens, and that's all they need to worry about. Your admin, as a default, is basically they're kind of like the power user of that one facility. You're really allowing them to see full access to all the applications. And again, once again, if I click back on this content creator, you can easily just take the rights away. So they can still be an admin, but maybe you don't want them to have layout access, or maybe you don't want them to have player access. Again, you can still take that away. In addition to our roles and permissions, we have these settings right here. This is sort of granular permission. So let me explain it to you. Let's give a scenario here where you have multiple playlists. You have 5 playlists, and you really only want the content creators to manage one of the 5. What you can do is you can go into the settings, which I would show you the UI, by the way, but I just don't have it just yet, just because, again, we're still kind of working on it. But what you can do is you can hit this gear and a modal is going to show. And it's very, very easy, the modal. But what you can do is say like, hey, I only want the content creators to have access to this one playlist. And then you could create another role. You can name it maybe marketing. Maybe marketing is higher than your content creator. And maybe you want marketing to have access to the other 4 playlists instead of that one. So granular permissions is really like, it kind of breaks it down to like even another level as far as like, yeah, what they can manage and what they can see. Players is another great example, right? Maybe that facility has 20 players, but you only want this role, the content creators, to see 5 out of the 20. So that's kind of what the settings in the granular means. When you see it sort of disabled, by the way, like that, it just means that like that's not available for that application. So there is no granular permissions for a dashboard, and that's why it's grayed out. All right, and then the only other thing, just to kind of keep in mind when we think about user and user management and roles, is every single user you add to your organization, they just need to follow just one simple rule. First of all, they need to be a part of a facility, and in that facility, they need to be part of at least one role. As long as you do that, it's totally fine. If you try to delete users, and our system sort of basically is always validating to make sure that that user is not going to be like what we call an orphan. We are always validating sort of the API and the information. So if you do accidentally create a user and that user is no longer a part of any other facility, don't worry, we do throw you sort of errors just to let you know. But I just want to really make it clear to you, like when you add a user, make sure they're part of a facility. And then once they're part of that facility, just determine what role they want. And again, a user can be part of multiple roles as well. Most people just kind of do one to stick with, but just know that you have that option as well. So that's really the breakdown, you guys, of our roles in our permission management. If there's anything that I wasn't clear about, or you want more information about something, definitely reach out to us. Otherwise, I hope you guys just have a great day. So thank you.